Solvang. Sheesh. No, still only in Solvang. Every time I woke up here, I think I was back there. Every time I was back there, I wished for another chance to wake up here. And then I would wake up here and... oh. I was glad when the assignment finally came. When you did the kind of work I did, you'd have got yourself a reputation for getting the job done. And you never got the call. The call came. And I accepted. They know I would. What the hell else was I going to do? Every minute of time threatened to soften me up. And I can never afford to lose my head. Especially when there's always a chance I'd be gone back there. Yeah. Back to YoYo Island. Because of the last garbled communication to come from YoYo Island that I was in the field again. Something was said that made the powers that be back on the mainland decide to green light this mission. A boat was assigned a new skipper, who said as we set out, and he didn't know exactly where we were going. But one look at me and he was sure it was going to be someplace screwy. He didn't know a half of it yet, but he'd find out soon enough. Though I hoped for all our sakes, it wouldn't be the highway. The ill-fated lost of an expedition found out the highway. YoYo Island's fun, sure, but not if you get caught in the wrong place and can't hold your breath for 7 hours. Within a week of their arrival, the expedition was officially lost to the map. So it was reported. There were fewer questions that way. That wasn't only true. There was at least one known survivor. Blighter. That was his name. Yeah, maybe a description too. Sai'Phon River. And Bo'Sun aboard the expedition's boat Longshot was somewhere on YoYo. And he was the reason why I was going in. We were approaching the island quickly now, my eyes automatically seeking out a narrow, rocky cleft low on the thick shoreline to starboard. We felt the boat engine's familiar rock course through me, keeping me on my toes, knife edge ready. There it was up ahead, the Gon'Soon Inlet, the only navigable course into YoYo's jungle interior. Like everything else on this crazy jack-in-the-box island, time was a key factor in our approach. But time wasn't on our side. Right during the day, the Grotto's entrance would be literally sky-high. Get here at night, and the inlet is lost under several fathoms of seawater. Only the early Twilight could we risk making it through Gon'Soon Grotto to begin our journey up the Sai'Phon River. With our skipper keeping a nervous eye on the water level and a heavy hand on the throttle, we committed, cruising into the inlet at the best speed our boat could muster, and with good reason. If we didn't make it through Gon'Soon Grotto before the island's altitude altered dramatically, this mission could prove extremely determined. My knuckles burrowed on the deck rail as I bulked for the dark wake through the gloom, and the helm gauges crept overhead. This would be a crappy spot to blow the engine, all right. the YoYo Island's tide line always dramatically on the move. Entering the island's inland waterways through Gon'Soon was a tense passage through a leviathan's maw of rock teeth in clear water below, finding the achy deadness. You were certainly can't plan to see the way out up ahead. Our boat slowed into the shallows, the grotto's exit, not quite not a lit as our keel grazed the bottom felt pulse pounding moment. Sharp, whispered through the hog. And then we were in the deeper water again. The familiar, weird, warm tropical light of YoYo Island's twilight sky glowing over us as we began our journey up the Sai'Phon River. I wondered at a passing glimpse of the vanished culture that once rolled here. Mysterious Fabulaban for the reason Professor Miles Lostigan mounted his ill-fated expedition, and their unique temples and mysterious tikis could still be found all over YoYo Island. There are reports in the Lostigan diaries that Blighter took a special interest in the island's tikis. What he may have discovered isn't recorded, but Bo'Sun Blighter has mysteriously been able to stay alive here on YoYo Island against all odds. And that's a hell of a lot more that could be said for the twits he sailed here with. Chief among them, rabid bit-game trophy hunter Sir Alfred Ransom slaughtering, and tried to bag a charging rhinopotamus in this part of the river. Enlist. Not really a good idea to mess with the wildlife on YoYo Island. It can be as dangerous as it is different, having adapted to the Gon'Soon funhouse ecology here. In this jungle, the clownkeys get their coconuts up in the kelp homes. Crab apples come with little pinchers, and it's always better to steer clear of an angry rhinopotamus. Most of the expedition never really got their heads wrapped around what was happening until it was too late, I think. They kept going deeper inland, searching for that legendary safe passage into the fabled city of Fabulaban. It really exists somewhere on YoYo Island. While the tide kept coming in, and in, and in. Every time I recalled Lostigan's notes, one haunting phrase always struck me. Blighter's last communique to the expedition. We should have stayed on the boat. Professor Lostigan scoffed at the bosun's declaration, but he'd find himself battling wanting water wings before long. We should have stayed on the boat. Absolutely right. Especially if you were going all the way. Bo'Sun Blighter went all the way. At first, separated from the expedition's main party by the perils of YoYo's wildly fluctuating geography, he had no choice. It wasn't too long before his peculiar case of idle madness drove him so far from all programming. He wasn't in anybody else's database at all anymore, except ours. Sai'Phon Blighter had gone yayin, totally immersing himself in the island's radical rivers, forsaking the outside world for his own agenda, operating beyond anyone's control. And he was just a few more clicks up ahead now, in Lo'Sun Lagoon. The call of the Yaki bird told me he was close now. just the other side of a creepy quagmire called the Sargasso Swamp. A steaming, seaweedy, very dangerous tangle that never seems to dry out the way the rest of YoYo Island does by full day. The armpit of the world, alright. And it was as far as Professor Lostigan and his delighted men made it up the Sai'Phon River. Bo'Sun Blighter had led a splinter party to investigate evidence at the Fabulaban on the far side of the island, just before the others lost contact with it. The ill-fated Lostigan expedition voted to forge on through the jungle, and members dwindled and steadily until the last handful vanished on their own. The ultimate disappearance of Professor Lostigan and his last few surviving expedition members suggests that we never discovered what the Bo'Sun did. Blighter went yo-yo. Absolutely. But he figured out how to stay alive here, all the way around the clock. By the time our boat reached Lo'Sun Lagoon, I felt I knew a few things about Bo'Sun Blighter that Ward had lost in his diaries. He was up to something. I was sure now. He'd found out something about the Fabulaban, and whatever the secret was, it kept it here on this crazy island. I was now in as deep as the boat could take me. The landing at Lo'Sun Lagoon was the end of the river, all right. From here, I'd have to conclude this mission on my own and meet Blighter mano a mano. I was fairly certain he'd be waiting for me, with someone like him, and he looked rich. To get to him, I'd have to enter the ancient Fabulaban temple at Dim Wat. It was when I reached the temple entrance, warm in the twilight sun, that I remembered why the paper pushers back home had thought of this guy Blighter as a major old-school wacko. His little joke. He knew YoYo Twilight was the only time you wouldn't need either a helicopter or a submarine to get around this insane real estate. It was now all right, or scrub the mission. The missions were something I accomplished. So I entered the mysterious ruins of Dim Wat, still unsure of YoYo Island's cryptic hold over Bo'Sun Blighter. Had he really found the hidden treasure of the Fabulaban? Or does something, or maybe someone else, tempted to remain? Old Fabulabi ghosts whispering in the candles derided my curiosity, reminding me why I climbed the steep temple steps. Up toward a furtive beam of twilight sun lancing Dim Wat's perpetual bloom. High in the temple, I reached that warm twilight glow streaming into the upper chamber's apex. I was near the top of the island now, where Dim Wat's elevated exit opens onto a lofty jungle prominence, officially named Port Skyward in the ill-fated Lost in the Expedition diaries. I knew it by another name, Blighter's Roost. I had risen to the Fabulabi temple's vine-shrouded exit, where a stone portal opens onto a narrow bluff jutting from the weirdly steep jungle cliffs. Here's where I'd find it. Port Skyward, the highest habitable plateau in YoYo. Blighter's flipped-out harbor in the sky, The nosebleed of a lookout by day, and a toehold of a beachhead at night. So cosmic beauty had perches here on a breathtaking green prominence. A bit too damn close to the summit of mighty Mount Kabumi. I could see how the lure of this wildly seductive tropical vista might command Blighter's frequent return. But it could also probably be because this island sinks and here's what keeps his boat tied up. This guy was into some kind of weird fit, no question about it. And nobody was really certain anymore of just exactly what he was up to. All I knew for sure was that I was here to make the change my employers said the situation required. To collect and bill for Bo'Sun Blighter's last garbled orders. I could hear him now as I closed the final few paces between us. His quietly detached voice drifting toward me in the twilight breeze. Lost in some distantly peeved contemplation.
It shouldn't be so difficult,
he was saying.
But they never listen.
As I gained the threshold, Blighter's low harangue reflected off the clutter of oddball artifacts inside his remote island outpost.
And then they send in someone. An errand boy, like you.
He murmured.
And you should know. I would want you to know that the chips, the whole pile of all the little chips were soggy the last time, and the ones who sent you have never gotten it all together right. Not even one time.
Bo'Sun Blighter, grudging the look up from the old parchment mound we would scrutinize, to acknowledge my arrival with a distracted glare.
Do you think you've got it right this time, errand boy?
I wasn't supposed to question the order. I was supposed to carry it out. Everybody wanted me to do it. He wanted me to do it most of all. I didn't really give a damn by now who wanted what. I just did what it was I came to do. As Dillard's Deli delivers. Those who gave me this assignment talked about change. Exact change, lighter wanted. It time on. Hell, it never made any difference to me. I already knew what a lousy tipper this guy was. It was over, and I was out of his out-of-the-way souvenir shop, heading home to the mainland, to key up for that next mission, I suppose. I had a feeling I'd be back before too long. The bosun usually called in twice a day.
The hot sauce. You forgot the hot sauce.
I'm the Dillard's Deli delivery guy. The Dillard's Deli delivers. Even to YoYo Island.
The hot sauce.